AC down in the desert. Probably about 9:30 in the morning. Feels maybe 90 degrees outside. Something like that. Not too hot. Just hot enough to let you know. I should have brought some cold water with me. So we got a dangly hard start kit. Contactor is not sucked in. So maybe it's our contactor. Started right up just fine. Ooh, and now the contactor stayed in. So it looks like we got a bad contactor there. It's lost its ability to start on its own, so get that going. Replace the contactor. I think I'm just going to replace that capacitor and hard start kit at the same time. It looks pretty tired, so yeah, I'll secure this capacitor, bouncing around. Make things better here. A couple little steps. Be good. Get it going. Good to go. Get it fixed up. It'll work good. Okay. Got everything I need to rebuild this puppy. Got a new hard start kit. New contactor. The 24 volt comes in on the sides. Engages the electromagnetic relay, sucks in the contact, and brings power from the bottom to the top. Nice and easy. Got a 35 cap here to replace this one. And a little 5 microfarad cap for there. And we're going to secure that so it's not banging on the case, wearing out prematurely. And some military grade cable ties, tie up the capacitor. And we get all set up here and we'll pull a disconnect. Here's the hard start kit. Can pre-do this one on the new capacitor. Leave the numbers spacing out so it's easier to read in the future. It just goes one lead to each side, nice and easy for the hard start kit. And then we'll have Herm, which is the yellow wire on one side, and then this is the common here. We'll have blue and red, nice and easy, nice and straightforward. I don't really need to replace these capacitors in the hard start kit, but this says that preventative maintenance is going to make everything a little bit better here. The most important part here is the contactor, as that's what was malfunctioning here. Anyway, back here we're going to pull the disconnect. It's probably easier to get to going around this way. There we go. There's our disconnect. So first thing we need to do is discharge the capacitor. Capacitor holds a charge in it even after the power is disconnected. So I'm holding only the insulated portion of my screwdriver. I'm going to bridge the leads and I'll discharge the charge so we can work on the system. The hard start kit I don't really need to disconnect. Wow, it's really hot. So I'm glad I'm replacing that. Power comes in on the bottom here, these two wires, to the contactor. Now, there's no power now because we've pulled the disconnect. And you can hear that contactor buzzing. All that happened on this one was it stopped sucking in. So let's see if it sucks in on its own. It did suck in on its own this time. You know, it might have worked, but it could just at random fault again. So just going to be a good idea to change it out and make things better. Now we do still have low voltage power, the 24 volts on the side. And when I go to pull those, I've got some wire strippers that have insulated handles, and I'll make that a little safer. It is low voltage, and I could just pull it, but you never know. You get sweat buildup or moisture on your hands. Touch it, you can increase the contact surface area, so it can be a little bit more dangerous. So it's better, safer to use an insulated tool. Looks like we've got our wires running directly to the front of this contactor. And it's nice and color coded. Black goes to one side, red goes to the right side. That makes a lot of sense. R for right. So that's that. And it looks like this one only has one screw going here. So basically we'll just mimic exactly what we see. Oh, I've got 2 screws on this one. That's good. There's one. There's the other one. Before I get too far, I'm going to go ahead and pull that contactor. The buzzing's annoying me. Okay. So there's one side. Again, that's the only wire that we've got a little bit of voltage on, is the contactor. Sometimes that right side of the contactor is a little tricky to get to. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and disconnect our other wires here. There we go. Now I can pull the last screw here for the contactor. Okay. And now we'll be able to pull that other lead off the old contactor, and everything's free here. Pull the lead out with the old contactor. Now with the new contactor, before I get it installed, I'll go ahead and put that lead back on the new one, since it's tricky to reach. Make sure everything's solid there, and it is. And we'll need to loosen the screws on the front of our new contactor. So we'll be able to put our wires in there. And we had some front mounted wires here. And this new contactor has a dust cover over the top. You can take this out to visually see when the contactor's sucked in, but it's kind of nice in that it protects the points from wearing out prematurely. Anyway, here's our red wire. And it's best to set this on the right of the screw, so the screw will draw it in as it tightens down. Now our top red wire. We'll want to feel to make sure all these connections are nice and snug, nice and tight. That one's good. Here's our black wire. And that's a little loose there. So we're going to want to tighten that one up. You can either take this down and squeeze it down a tiny bit, or you can do it right on the post. I usually do them right on the post, but sometimes you need a little more. more squeeze. Sometimes you get too much squeeze. Okay. There we go. Here's our other common wire. I'm going to straighten these wires out a little bit. We don't want to lose any strands there. We want to make sure we get all our strands. If we lose strands, it'll cause heat buildup, wear our parts out kind of prematurely. We don't want that. Anyway, again, going on the right side of that screw so that everything is drawn in nice and tight. Okay. And there's our low voltage wire for the thermostat. And here's our high voltage wires coming in. And this time we're going to want to go on the left side so that, again, the screw is drawn in as it's tightened. Otherwise it'll have a tendency to push it out. So keeping it on that side will keep everything good. Okay. And now connecting our other low voltage lead there. It's going to pop when I touch it to the contactor. It's going to suck that electromagnet in. And sometimes if it touches and untouches and retouches, the thermostat has a protection in it, so it might delay it for 5 minutes. Anyway, you heard it click in there. Okay, now we're all connected there. Okay. Okay, and sometimes it may be better to mount your contactor first and then mount the wires. It just depends. You could do it either way. But you can see the fun I'm having with this part here. There we go. And then now I can use the bottom wires to lift it up in position. Easy enough. And the screws back. Okay, now I just want to fine tune and adjust the positioning of my wires here. I really don't like the red wires sitting directly against the opposite side wires, so I'm just going to adjust things here. Also, we're going to replace this capacitor, so I'm going to get my blue and red off one side and the yellow for the Herm, the start wire for the compressor on the other side. Anyway, there we go there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my red wire over the top here just so I can better position that so it's not touching the opposite side wire. And I'll pull this one up. It's in there nice and solid. And move this more towards the front here. Again, so it's just not sitting right on that other wire. There we go. Okay, and now for our capacitor. It's nice and easy. Yellow's going to one side. Again, making sure everything's nice and tight here, and it is. And then we've got our blue wire, which goes to our fan. And the red wire up to the contactor. And we're all set there. And then our hard start kit, we're going to mount right here underneath the capacitor. And then for the little fan capacitor, just going to slip these up. And slip our leads off. And on our new one, we really don't need all this, but we can leave it. The electrical tape, just kind of covering those contacts and preventing anything from touching there. Again, we really don't need it, but it doesn't hurt. Okay, and now we're going to mount our capacitor right here. Our bottom capacitor could also use a strap. It's not really anchored in there. Just gonna widen out a bit. Make it easier. So we can actually do both of these in one shot. Let's see. So we'll anchor these capacitors so they're not gonna move around on us. Okay. Puppy up at the top. There we go. Enough room to slip it out and replace it if we need to, and I can cut that off. And hard start kit we can hang on here if we want to. That'll work good. Okay, trim off the excess here. And leave enough room to pull on, just in case somebody wants to do something different in the future, run it a different way. Anyway, again, verify all our wires are sitting good. Everything's making good contact. We're ready to plug it back in. Get the system going. So I'll leave you here for the view. I'll plug the disconnect in. Here we go. Now we have a nicely rebuilt air conditioner. All our capacitors new, hard starts new. contactor. Good to go. Keep it going through the summer. Nice and chilly. So I'd say it was the right decision to replace this capacitor. It was still working, but look at that bulge. That thing was ready to give. Goodness gracious. The old contactor